What is up, Team JVS? We're here with another review. Hello, welcome. I'm Busy Brown. I'm here to talk about Dead City Season 2. And we watched episode 1, and I had some of my thoughts on that. I shared it with you guys in the last review, obviously. But I do want to say that this was not as action packed as I kind of wanted it to be, even though there was some crazy stuff in this episode. But that doesn't take away from the fact that it was still a really, really fun episode. And thing is, we did get a really crazy moment that I really am excited to talk about. We will dive into that in a little bit. But first, of course, hello, welcome to Team JVS. We just drop a lot of reviews for you guys. If you guys aren't into this show, I'm sure there are a bunch of other shows that you guys are into that we do cover. So make sure you guys are keeping an eye out for those. On top of that, I do reactions on my channel where I do cover a lot of the things that I'm talking about here. I'm most likely reacting to on my channel, so feel free to go check that out. But as for Dead City, when it comes to the Walking Dead spin-offs, this was one of the shows that I was like curious about. I was cautious of, and I feel like a lot of people are on that same boat. When we have a show that goes on for 11 seasons and they announce that they're dropping, two spin-offs that are focusing on some of the main characters of the OG show, you kind of wonder like, are we milking it at this point? Is it still gonna have like draw your attention? Is it still gonna be good? And yes, it still manages to draw your attention. We were 2 seasons in, not only to Dead City, but of course, Daryl Dixon, and it's still really exciting. And I think episode 2 doesn't really take away from that because we still have one a really cool moment in the series as a whole, and we got that here. And I'm referring to the boat scene, the ferry scene. Of course, starting off with Maggie, I mean, it was just really interesting to see how they kind of had everything go down in the last episode, and then we kind of pick up with that with her getting ready to go with Babylon to New York, and of course she has Ginny with her. But on top of that, we end up having another issue where we end up running into Herschel, which kind of comes later when we see like the smoke screen pop up and just the whole thing is, and it turns out that the Croat knows that they're there and knows what they're kind of planning, and of course that's when we find out that Herschel's there, which I do want to say has been gets me a little nervous, of course, because I mean we have Maggie, but then her having to deal with two kids. Of course, I'm sure that they're able to defend themselves in a lot of situations, but there are a lot of situations which require Maggie to take her attention off of her own safety to kind of deal with them, and we saw that a little bit in the last episode when she had to protect Ginny during that whole entire moment where she ends up fighting all those walkers, and it's just one of those situations where when we get these kids talking about how they can take care of themselves and how they don't need them and how they're fine, and then we have them doing all these stupid things, it's stuff that we've seen on many occasions, and Herschel kind of stepping out of nowhere and us seeing him, and we're just like, why are you here? And it's the thing is, I will say that I'm really enjoying um Logan Kim, I believe is his name, as Herschel, because I mean he's old enough where we can see him do a little more, and it's really interesting to see where Herschel started to where he is now, and I don't know if I'm just kind of hung up on things, but it's kind of like what the potential I see for him is kind of what I kind of wanted to see with Carl, with them kind of wiping him off the map and him not being around during the final seasons of The Walking Dead. It's like where Herschel is now. I'd love to see him kind of take that role and just kind of step up and be, a leader, and with him having two parents that were just heavily involved, and one of them being like, very good tactically and just being a good leader herself, it would just be really cool to see him kind of step in those shoes. And I know we got ways to go, but it'd be interesting, especially if Dead City is going to be around for years to come, and I'm pretty sure it was already greenlit for a season 3, which is cool to hear. But him being around, and of course him making some decisions and mistakes, and then him being upset about the mistakes, it's just stuff that we've seen. And realistically, he's more tolerable than some of the other kids that we've gotten in some of the other shows. Because realistically, we know The Walking Dead, they always have to throw in like a kid that ends up getting on a lot of our nerves. But so far he's been fun to watch, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Ginny, same thing. Looking forward to seeing more of her. Obviously, we had that situation with her and Maggie where she, you're not my mom. You don't need to do this. You got to stop. Kind of being on my back, and she's one character that I'm really curious about because sometimes we saw them kind of talk things out, but we know that there are kind of things bothering her. As we saw, she has a blicky in her bag, bro. She has a gun, you know. But besides that, we saw that moment where they specifically highlighted her looking at Herschel and Maggie kind of have an embrace, and that's something that we know that she doesn't really have anymore because her, of course, her dad isn't here anymore. But her having to see that, and then on top of that, earlier in the episode where Herschel says to her, "Oh, she's my mom. I'll help her. You do whatever." And it's just like little things like that. It's like, bro, what are we doing? And I'm hoping things work out for her, but I don't know. I don't know what path they're going down, but it's kind of scaring me just a little bit. But leading to the whole fairy situation with her and then Dasha's character, Lucia, I believe Lucia, um, that was a whole mess. I mean, we're constantly being put in a situation where we see Maggie knowing what she's talking about, and then of course her recommending and giving her advice to these people that aren't really familiar with the territory, if you will. And us as viewers, again, we know that like they're not gonna listen, and then we're gonna have to watch everything kind of fall apart, even though we have our main character telling them time and time again, do this instead of this. And obviously it taking them to the point where they're not listening, and then we see literally like their governor, they're like their boss, get destroyed. And the way she got destroyed, I will say, was very creative. I've been saying this over and over again. The way that they utilize the walkers in this show, it's really creative. And on top of the walkers being like used to power buildings, and on top of that, but like they're weaponizing them, not in the sense of like we're training them to attack, but straight up filling them, I believe, with methane, right? And then covering their mouths and then putting them in a bucket and then launching them like a cannon for an explosion that's doing serious damage. Like that poor woman, there wasn't any woman left. Like she was, you know, turned into bits. So it was nasty, but at the same time, like for people that enjoy this show, it's like the stuff that's kind of like the stuff that we want to see, like the creativity behind the walkers, the I don't know. It's just interesting. It's nuts, but it's cool. But yeah, of course, seeing them falling apart, and then of course, Maggie being locked up down below, obviously was a pain in the ass. But I just loved how they handled that, because she's like, "Oh, I'm not following you guys in the battle. Like, I'm taking my people home if this is what you're doing." She's like, "Oh, well then, we're gonna like hang them for what, distortion, whatever the word she is, desertion." Um, it was just annoying. And then I think obviously the final straw with her was her looking at Herschel and saying, and I mean everyone, and I was really like, part of me was like, yo, what are you gonna do? What is she gonna do? And for her to actually give her the right hook was very satisfying, but at the same time really annoying when you hear her say, "All right, tie him up, put him in the brig," whatever the fuck she said. But it's just from a viewer standpoint, it's just so annoying knowing that we're getting 5 minutes of dialogue, which again, it's 5-10 minutes of dialogue, which again, since it was written well, so it's still fun to follow, but at the same time, you know what the outcome's going to be. You know they're not going to listen. You know it's going to end up with people dying, and again, that's exactly what happened with the boat getting lit up. They lost like half their crew, and then again, it led to them being washed up on the beach, and then again, Maggie being the one to call the shots. So ultimately, it ended where we kind of figured things would go, but she's literally now El Jefe, if you will. She's the one who's gonna be there. She's the one who's letting people know we can't stay here. It's not safe. We got to go find coverage. And now people are following her. And we got Lucia just there, kind of like observing it all. And I think she wasn't right mentally because of everything that just went down. But then, of course, when they kind of found a little safety for the time being in that alleyway, you can see her kind of looking at Maggie. And I'm still trying to take a grasp on what I believe that look was. I don't know if it's just her being impressed or her being like, okay, like I got to take her out, or people are gonna follow her. I don't really know what it is, but I'm really hoping, because I love Dasha Polanco. I'm hoping she, of course, sticks around for a while. I really don't want them to just get rid of her character after this season. Like I said, I mean, she's literally in one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite musicals of all time, which is In the Heights. So I mean, I'd love to see her be involved in one of my favorite franchises of all time. But we'll have to see where it goes. But as for Negan's kind of story, I mean, with everything with it, how it picked up in the first episode with him literally eating bugs, it was curious. I mean, I was curious. It's very dark, it's messed up, but we had that one person who we knew was keeping him company, who was, giving him entertainment, playing the violin, and it's just it was interesting to see that kind of aspect of it all. But as soon as like we saw him being friendly in the first episode, my immediate thought is like this guy's done. Like he's not making it out of the next few episodes. And I thought maybe he was gonna live till after he outlived episode one. I'm like, okay, maybe he'll live till the end of the season, And what do I know? Because we see Dama, we've seen her. Of course, we know that she has a presence. We know she's no joke, and we know she admired Negan for his performance and his showmanship. And to see, of course, how everything went down there and how she knew that he hesitated due because the Croat snitched, of course. And I mean, Negan could have been straight up and would have been like, oh yeah, like I mean, I honestly wouldn't have. I don't think this would have been a bad answer either. Him saying like there was a kid on the ship who I robbed of of their parents. You know what I'm saying? Because there's two kids there that he killed both their parents. So I feel like that's somewhat justified of him kind of slowing down a little bit. But I don't think they would have forgiven it either way. But for her to, of course, put on a show there, and Negan knowing from the start when she asked him to play the music, he knew exactly where it was going to go before to end in such a brutal way. It was messed up. And on top of her giving a show to Negan, she was also giving a show to Benjamin, who fell off the ferry. And the only reason I find that interesting is because Benjamin's making it a known thing that, oh, I'm not here, like I'm not part of the army. I'm just here to like take notes and to observe. Like he's a historian through and through, and he's just making that clear to her. So I think she's trying to make a show for him, and I wouldn't be surprised if Benjamin is now going to be behind Dama, doing what he's doing, and just kind of making sure he survives. Because I don't know, it just seems like something that would happen, and he's an interesting character, but at the same time, I feel like he's going to be a pain in the ass. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes down. But the Dama has been a pain. I was really curious on how that was going to go down because there was a point where the Croat had Negan's bat. So when they were kind of pressing him and when they held him down, it looked like he like perked up the bat. I don't know if it was necessarily for him to grab it or if it was to get a better grip of it. But like part of me was like, dude, there's literally just the Croat, the two guards, and then the Dama. Like it's Negan. I mean, I feel like that could have been an easy takedown, but they didn't want to write it that way, and of course, it leading to the musician's death, which was extremely dark and extremely sad. Because again, she made the point with the way things are, we need all these artistic minds left, and of course, her killing one of them on the spot was kind of brutal. But what are you gonna do? But again, I've been impressed with what we've gotten with this show. That entire scene where we see Negan kind of being the one to call the shots, where he wasn't necessarily saying like knock and then shoot, like he was just telling them fire, and it was just a really cool, just get like pirate vibes there, Obviously, that's just it was interesting for them to be on top of a building and like the only source of light in the city at the time was just from that little rooftop, and I don't know. I mean, there is just so many moments in in this show like where like the ambiance where like the shots of the city, it's breathtaking, I mean, obviously every show has a budget, and with what they have here, I mean, they're making the best of it, and it's just so fun to watch. I mean, again, like when they're pulling up to the island and you see like kind of the fog clear, and you just see the Statue of Liberty to the left, and man, it looks beautiful. But then you just see the kind of like the silhouette, like the skyline of New York City, and it's just so insane how beautiful it looks. Even though this is after everything's fall apart, the cities are there. Some of the buildings are destroyed. Like it just the way that they kind of highlight it in this type of show, it's just visually, it's just fantastic to look at. And that goes the same with the way that they kind of handled things with the Walker cannons. The way that there was literally no source of light coming from the city, and all you see is just a little dot of red. And as it gets closer, it turns out to be the bin on fire. It's just like some of the different artistic choices to show, um, like again from something as little as the barrel. It's impressive, and I always get so caught off guard with how things look. And again, I really enjoyed it. But for now, man, I just want to say a big thank you for pressing on the video and hearing our thoughts. I think this was a solid episode. I really do. I think I'm gonna give it a B plus, B plus, A minus, B plus. I don't know. But I'm really looking forward to episode 3. This season, I believe, is longer than season 1, so it gives them more of a time to kind of slow things down and do a little more with the characters, if you will, than to just give us the meat and potatoes. And as much as I love this, I've grown to love the 6 episode series, especially when you know you're gonna get more seasons to come. It's really interesting to see like 8, because I believe like 8 and 11, between 8 and 11 or 8 and 13, it's kind of like that perfect balance of television, because it's like you can give us like the hard story right away, but at the same time have time to kind of build up the characters and do some fun stuff on the side. And since this is a little longer, I'm hoping that's what they do. I'm excited. I'm ready. What they've done has been fun, and I just know things are gonna get crazier. So I'm ready for it. I really am ready for it. Again, just if you're new, welcome. Subscribe really does help us out. If you're not in the Dead City entirely, I guess just go watch one of our other reviews. We cover a lot of things, non spoilers on top of spoiler stuff. That way, you know, you can get a feel for our content, because we drop a lot of things, a lot of stuff. And on top of that, we do a lot of reactions on my channel as well. So make sure you're going over to Busy Braun. I'd appreciate that. But for now, just thank you guys for staying tuned and checking us out. I guess for now, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.